Okay, welcome to our webinar tonight called Discipline Without Distress. And presenting tonight is me. My name is Judy Arnall, and I'm a certified Canadian Family Life Educator, and I have been certified in the Brain Core Story course, which is a wonderful course going across North America. I'm a realist in that I have 5 of my own children. They range in age from 16 to 26. So what I did was I gave up all punishments when my oldest child was 10 because I could realize it was impacting our communication. And I've never been a spanker. I only spanked him once. But I did use things like timeouts and consequences because, people say, well, you got to use them. And I found the impact on our relationship was not worth it. I needed to find some better tools. So from age 10 on, now that's in the last 16 years, I have not punished any of my kids. So they were all raised as teenagers without punishment. And the result is you don't get any attitude, rebellion. You get a lot of communication and openness. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. So my oldest 3 are all graduated from university. My 4th child is in university, and my 16-year-old is working his way through self-directed high school. We also were unschoolers, so we subscribe to a very non-punitive mode of education too. I just couldn't stand the idea of rewards, bribes, and punishments used in schools. So we came home to do our own thing kind of thing. I teach 2 courses. I teach the PET course at the University of Calgary, and I teach the Terrific Toddlers course independently as a webinar. The Terrific Toddlers course is for any parents of ages 1 to 4, and the PET is really good for communication, so probably about age 2, 3, and up. I've written 2 books. The first one I wrote was Discipline Without Distress, so I thought, okay, I got to tell people how to raise kids without punishment. And what do you do? Like, from every problem from baby to teens, what do you do? So that was a really, really good success. But then a lot of parents gave me feedback and said, okay, but what do I do about the anger first? How do I get to positive discipline? So I wrote a quick little book on parenting with patience. It helps parents manage stress, manage normal parenting anger, and helping their kids manage their anger. And some of the books have been translated. Then I have new books coming out. I have Unschooling to University coming out September 1st. You can pre-buy it on Amazon. And Attachment Parenting Tips is just a book on tips. There's no theory there. It's just 350 pages of ideas that to handle different ways of little everyday things, and it's a compilation of tips from all the groups I've done over the last 20 years. So it looks like this on your phone, and you just click the link and it takes you to a whole bunch of suggestions. Okay, and I think parenting is one of the hardest jobs on earth. There's no other job where you are expected to control another little person, and especially when they're out of control. And that is very, very, very difficult to do. I think every parent should have a tip jar on their table. And here's my tip jar. I put it in the laundry room, and I put the $50 bill in to set the precedence, and didn't get much. And I think teachers should have a tip jar on their desk. They have a tough job too. So, hopefully I'll talk you into being a submarine parent or a submarine teacher tonight. What is that? That is looking beneath the behavior tip of the iceberg and getting in your little parent submarine and figuring out what that child needs, what are they feeling. Because if you can address the needs or feelings, you can address the entire behavior. It takes care of itself. So everything I'm talking about tonight is in the book Discipline Without Distress. Of course, I can only pick 10 of my best tools tonight because of time constraints, but there's 135 in that book. And the getting a grip part is from Parenting with Patience. Okay, so moving on. What is discipline? Discipline is teaching self-control. But self-control is not just nature and nurture, it's about nature. It comes with brain development. Why do I keep pressing the red button here? Okay, so here's the 3-step model featured in Parenting with Patience. First step, get yourself calm. You can't be an effective parent if you're under stress or you're angry. So timeout is the best way to get yourself calm. Now, I know a lot of parenting books say, oh, you got to deal with things right in the moment or kids forget. There is no research behind that. That's somebody's opinion. So you can take a 10 to 30-minute timeout and come back and even address the situation with a 2-year-old when you're a lot calmer. Second is get your child calm. A lot of times they're upset too, and one of you needs to be in control. So if you're in control, you can help them gain control. And time in is best for that. Spending time redirecting them, acknowledging their feelings, trying to get them to calm down. And third is to solve the problem because you still have a problem. And with that is time together. Solve it together. And there's many ways to do that. Okay, let's look first at you. Step 1, getting yourself calm. Best ways to handle parents' anger is definitely take a breather, take a timeout, go call someone, go breathe, go have a cup of tea, go check your email, go check Facebook. Have something that you can do to get a grip and not say anything or do anything to your child when you're angry. Because if you can separate your anger from what you're going to do next, you will make much better decisions. You won't be threatening or yelling. So timeouts for you, time in is for your child. And there are many triggers in parenting, believe me. With 5 kids, I did a lot of yelling when they were little. And it was funny when the university kids came home one Christmas and I said to them, do you remember all the times I yelled at you when you were little? And they didn't remember any of it. And I'm like, yes. Mother Nature has a way of wiping their brains so that they don't remember that. What kids tend to remember are out of ordinary experiences. So things like the one time my husband in anger threw his set of car keys at one of our kids. They remember that because it's not something that happens every day. So don't be surprised at what your kids remember. But if you yell a lot like we all do, give yourself some slack. It's not going to cause irreparable damage and they will forget. Here's an example. Now let's go for the hardest discipline issue. Let's talk about deliberate disobedience. So this is when parents pull out the big guns. The spanking, the consequences, the taking away of the technology, and no wonder it leaves parents livid. So this is when my son, he was 4 and he wanted some chips before dinner, and I said no. And he took this bag up to his room, poured all the chips all over the carpet, and proceeded to stamp every last chip into the carpet. And he's a very spirited, spicy child, so he made sure every chip was crunched. When I came up and saw this, I was so tempted to spank. And I'm not the spanking person. I teach parents not to spank, so I have that added layer of guilt on me if I do. So I was livid, absolutely livid. And rather than threatening things or yelling, this was one of my better parenting moments, so that's why I'm telling you about it. I turned around and went downstairs and had a good cry. And then I think I called my partner and calmed down. And then when I came back upstairs, I was calmer. Then I could make rational decisions about how I was going to handle this much better. So always take care of you first. If I have one piece of advice over parenting 5 kids, it would be take your time, calm down, then decide what you're going to do, because you make so many better choices. And here are some ways you can calm down. I went and cried, that little green card in the middle of the table there, and I talked to a friend. But you can go have a drink from a water bottle. You can go just be alone, lock yourself into the bathroom, scream into a toilet, flush the toilet, watch a video, read a book, play a video game, stomp your feet, do a silent scream. Any of these would work. Make a list. This is the yes list. The yes lists are things that you want to do when you're angry. You can also make a list for your kids. What is their yes list? Because we all have a no list. On the no list is hitting, biting, pushing, tantruming. But what can they do when they're angry? So the yes list has to be there. Can they stomp their feet? Can they cry? Can they throw a tantrum? Can they yell and scream? Are those things on your yes list? So you have to have things on there for them. Now, I don't advise timeouts. I used to do them, but there's a point where you can't drag a 13-year-old to timeout. And there's a lot of problems with timeout. Timeout's a really good thing. It's a positive life skill that you want your kids to do, but we have been using it as a punishment, and that teaches kids not to take timeouts when they need it. So the best way to teach a timeout is not to force them into a timeout. It's for you to model it. So when you're angry and you say to them, I see chips all over the rug and I am so angry, I'm going to go take a timeout. You are modeling a very good self-controlled technique. And then get away and take your time out. That is very important. I'm scared because we're raising a whole generation of kids who only experience a timeout as a punishment when it's a really, really, really good life skill. So after I came back, my anger's all done. I'm calm. Then I give my I statement. And then I say what I really feel, and because of the situation and what I expect to be done. So I would come back and say, I feel livid when I see stomped chips on the carpet because it's a mess and somebody needs to clean it up. And it's not the best way to deal with anger. So you give your I statement when you're calmed down, because if you wait till you're calmed down, then you don't have sarcasm in this, you don't have anything that could, it's as neutral and respectful as possible. Now this actually isn't just for kids. This can be for your partner, for your mother-in-law, for your boss, your neighbor. You know, too often we say and write things in anger, and we just need to step back, calm down, take a break, formulate a really good I statement, and then come back and confront that person. Okay, step 2. Now, your child. Let's say your child's upset. Then you have to get them calm. And kids cannot get calm on their own. This whole business of self-soothing needs a certain measure of self-control and executive function, and kids don't have it. So they need your help in calming down. And that's what we call time in. So what are your child's triggers for anger? Oftentimes they're siblings. They feel something's unfair. They want something and you said no as the gatekeeper. There's a lot of triggers. Now, we allow our children to feel their feelings, the whole range of their feelings. There's no limits on feelings, but there are limits on behaviors. So while it's okay to feel frustrated that the pool is closed and we can't go swimming today, it's not okay to hit your brother when he tells you to be quiet. Okay, so it's okay to feel frustrated. It's not okay to hit. And remember, don't give power to their anger. If your child throws things, wrecks things in anger, don't clean it up. Just remain calm, but make sure after they're calm, then you go and insist that they start cleaning up. They should always clean up their anger messes, whatever age kids are, but don't make them do it in the moment. Now, why do kids misbehave? Why are they angry? Well, they're frustrated, they're angry because they have limited brain development and they have a need or feeling. So what can you do for small kids? Best discipline tool there is redirect. Redirect. Try and get them calm with a calming tool and then redirect them to some other activity. And again, you can use a lot of the same tools. In the Parenting with Patience book, there's all these tools and more that you can cut out and put on your fridge. So you could say, okay, this week what we're going to do when we're angry as a family is we're going to write a letter or draw a picture, or we're going to drum, or we're going to stomp. And that's what you do for a whole week. When someone's angry, that's what they do. And you try out different things. Now with kids, you can try some more ideas too. These are more kid-friendly rather than adult-friendly, but you can have a beanbag chair that you call your anger chair. And they can hit it, punch it, sit in it, hug it, kick it, whatever. Keep in mind that small children are very physical. So eventually we want them to handle their anger the adult way, such as using our words, but they're not there yet. They respond in body language. They can hammer their hands on the floor. They can breathe, deep breathe. They can blow in an anger tube. They can stomp their feet. These are all things on their yes list. They can get a hug if they're not too mad at you. Maybe they're mad at sibling. Drum. Have an anger drum or a stuffy to hug or throw. Make sure the throwing part is more for older kids. And same with an anger pillow and a bat. I would say about age, I wouldn't bring this to anyone under age 7 because of their ability to self-control to a certain spot. They could draw a picture after they've calmed down. This isn't good while they're in the heat of the moment, or they'll throw it. And they can throw their stuffy at a target. Sometimes that helps. That's why a lot of houses with teenagers have basketball hoops in front. Because when kids are angry, you can just say, okay, go shoot some hoops, work it off, come back and we'll talk. And redirect biting. So if kids are biting out of frustration and anger, give them something to bite, like a bagel or a cheeseburger. And a lot of times, like I said, kids react in physical ways, in body language. They're angry, they have temper tantrums, they're frustrated. So if it stems from too much stimulation, move them to a quieter place. Make sure they have food and drink. Make sure it's a little calmer. Now, if it's a power struggle temper tantrum, so you're in a store and they want something and you said no, make sure you don't give in to the tantrum. Make sure if you've said no, stay with your no this time. That's the hardest thing about positive discipline, is staying with your no. Now, you don't have to get angry at their anger over your no. Just stay with your no, remain calm, put up with the tantrum, and stay close by. Everybody knows that, who's a parent, that this is what kids do. It's a normal part of parenting. So don't worry. Don't give in to feeling guilty over the stairs. It's just going to happen. And then after they're calm, listen to their feelings. Say, you were upset that pool was closed and we couldn't go swimming. I was so upset and disappointed too. I wanted to go. So acknowledge their feelings. Let them feel their feelings matter and validate them. And what you do is you just redirect over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why do you do things over and over again? Well, it's about brain development. So the more wiring in the brain that occurs between the ages of 0 to 7, the more pathways are cemented and strengthened. So if you say no chips before dinner and you say it 20, 89, 167 times, every time you say it, that sends a signal to a child's brain cell, which sends a neurotransmitter to a neighboring brain cell, and it strengthens that pathway over that synapse. So by the 167th time, they get it. They remember. So that's good. You do things, you repeat, 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 repeat. Okay, so if you're calm, your child's calm, now you got a problem to solve. For us, it was the chips on the floor. Now, in my book, I have 135 tools how to handle different ages, but I don't have time to do that. So what do we do here? We have the cleanup problem. So at 4 years old, after everyone was calm, he helped me clean up. Like I said, make sure they clean up their anger messes. So he cleaned it up. He learned a good skill. He learned how to clean rugs. He learned how to vacuum and apply carpet cleaner. And if I had just spanked him, he wouldn't have learned anything. So he learned that. And then we had to decide what from the yes list he was going to use the next time he was angry. And he decided he was going to stomp his feet, but without the chips, which is okay. That's on the yes list. And then we talked about the original problem, like what are we going to do next time when he wants chips before dinner and I want him to eat healthy. So we brainstormed some solutions and we came up with an idea that he could have a special shelf of healthy foods that he could access anytime he wanted. But chips was not on there. That was my need. So there's 3 ways to solve any problem in the world. I've always taught my kids this. This applies to their teachers, their parents, their coaches, their friends, their neighbors, their siblings. 1, you can surrender and let it go. Let it go, let it go. 2, you can leave. And 3, you can stay and negotiate. For every problem, there's those 3 things to do. Okay? So letting it go means deciding, it's not a big deal. I'll brush it off. I'm calmer now. I'm truly going to let it go. And you really do let it go. Leaving is a solution too. It's taking yourself out of that situation. And then staying and negotiating with a person is a really good one too. So when you're looking at problems, look at it. Is it a development or discipline issue? This chart is my absolute favorite chart. It shows you the development of self-control. Remember when I said discipline is about self-control? This is executive function in children. It comprises 4 components: working memory, or holding 2 instructions in their heads at the same time; focus, so filtering distractions; self-control, the ability to take turns, not do something, hold your tongue; and planning. If plan A is kiboshed, it's okay, what's plan B? What can I do now? So, do you think 3-year-olds can play chess? No, they can't, because they don't have these 4 components of executive function. The game of chess requires all of those. Can a 7-year-old play chess? Yes, they can, because they do have those 4 components. So as you can see from the chart, from about 0 to age 3, children have very little self-control. You're just keeping them safe and doing damage control. You are protecting them from harm. Yes, you're teaching, you're saying, we don't bite people, or we don't pull the cat's tail. You're teaching over and over and over again. But By the time they're 4, look, they're gaining self-control. And look, by 5 and 6, this is why they don't start school until age 6, because they do not have that self-control to sit still and not hit their little friend or bite people. So the big leap in self-control is from age 3 to age 6. And then you see another leap again from about age 13 to age 25. It goes up, and then it peaks right there at age 25 when the brain absolutely finishes developing. So you can see a lot of discipline problems aren't really discipline. It really is a matter of brain development. So if you tell a 3-year-old to share and they don't want to share, that's not a discipline issue. That's a brain development issue. Or if you tell a 4-year-old that they can't go swimming today and they're throwing a tantrum, that's a development issue. They have self-control issues. Now you can expect a little bit better around age 10. If a 10-year-old goes to the pool and the pool's closed, they're not going to fall down on the floor and go, wow, and scream. They have enough executive function to say, okay, I'm disappointed, but oh well, maybe I'll stay home and play video games. So keep this chart burned into your mind and show this to your grandparents, to the other ladies at playgroup, and say, okay, this is what executive function is. It's why kids don't have a lot of self-control. And why, even if you don't address things or discipline, kids do get it eventually. They absolutely do. Okay, I just quickly want to go through these stages. Baby stage, their job is to build attachment and trust. And the sensitive area of the brain is here around the brainstem. And best discipline tools for babies are they're in the stage of attachment. So fulfill needs, learn child development. Toddlers, 6 to 18 months, their whole job is to build security and trust and explore. And often, because of that attachment, separation anxiety begins. And for older toddlers, age 18 months to 3 years, that middle part of the brain, the amygdala, the limbic system, is especially sensitive. And these are all the things you get for older toddlers. Very normal. Best discipline tools for them are action. You can't parent toddler from another room. You have to go to them and say, okay, you have to actually move them rather than use your words. Change the environment, childproof, and redirect. And don't project. Again, you have plenty of time to teach in the school age years. A lot of parents think if you don't address it now, you'll have many. If you don't address it now, you'll snowball. It'll snowball. It'll grow. And parents feel they have to teach the most important lessons at a time when the children's brains are ill-equipped to handle them. So your child at 2 is not the same child at age 10. They have way more self-control in their brains, and they're able to talk. And they're much, much wonderful kids too at 22. They'll take you to Italy. So don't worry. Remember that executive function. Why are toddlers aggressive? Well, it's common because their verbal ability is not very confident. Preschooler stage. So 3 to 5, more of the back of the brain sensitive now, so they're starting to think and question. But again, if you tell a child under age 5 to do something, 40% of the time they'll comply. That means 60% of the time they will not listen. And that's a normal developmental stage. That is not a discipline issue, it's a development issue. So here the cerebral cortex is more sensitive. These are common characteristics of preschoolers. And best discipline tools there are action followed up by words. So using time in, staying with your no, and introducing them to parent-guided problem solving. And remember, they get better self-control by age 6. School-agers, this is a really good time to really talk, chat, have a lot of conversations. So more the upper brain here is developing. They're starting to think logically, concretely, and tangibly. And here's some common characteristics of school-agers. So the early school-agers, and we're the tweens. Very normal development. And best tools here are talk and then back it up by action. In contrast to preschoolers where you take action and then talk, here you could say to a child from your room, hey, can you take out that garbage? And then when they don't do it, then you have to go and go up to them and say, okay, garbage. So best tools here are modeling, be the person you want them to be, listen and validate their feelings, give them your I statements when you confront them, and do some problem solving together. Okay, let's talk. What's the difference between consequences and problem solving? So consequences tend to be one solution. It's parent imposed. It's designed to hurt. And it's kind of artificial because it's only used on kids. We don't tend to impose consequences on our partners or mother-in-laws. Problem solving, on the other hand, is many solutions. They're both generated by parent and children. And they're designed to solve the problem. And it's real world. Adults solve problems that way. And you're teaching toddlers how to be adults. Okay, so on to the teenagers. This is the part of the brain, the more frontal part where they're starting to think abstractly. If you tell a teenager to do something in a really good relationship, about 80% of the time they will listen. And that is pretty good. These are some characteristics of teenagers. Okay, and of course, as I've shown here, about 13 to 25 is that last big leap of executive function. And you can see that as teens become more serious. Best tools are negotiation and problem solving. Absolutely, lots of conversations, lots of problem solving, which is a needed skill for entry into post-secondary, for jobs. Number one skill is problem solving, even ahead of tech skills. So it's not like I'm against you, it's you and I on the same team, and we're working against the problem. So it's about coming up with your needs and my needs, coming up with ideas together, and choosing the idea that meets both our needs, and then checking back to see if it's still working. It is amazing. It inspires creativity in kids and parents because you find a solution that works good for you. Best discipline tools for school age and teens. We always found going for a walk and talk. Getting out those runners and saying, okay, I'm not happy about homework getting done. I'm not happy about chores getting done. Let's go for a walk and talk and chat. Or, going up for coffee. That's what you do, is you have a conversation the same way as you would with your partner. I just want to show you here, as kids get older, your control over them decreases. But in what you lose in control, you gain in influence. And influence is that tiny little voice in the back of their heads when you're not there that says, you know what, this is the right thing to do. And that grows. That actually grows with your children. So you have lots of discussions and conversations, and you continue that in emerging adulthood when they have really good reasoning abilities. So keep in mind, everything's a stage. And if children don't listen by age 6, which is 60% of the time, it gets better. From 6 to 12, it's only 40% of the time. And from 13 to 20, it's only 20% of the time, because they still are little people. So what your child is at 3 is not the same at 13. Everything's a stage. Absolutely. So there's lots more ideas in Discipline Without Distress if you're interested. And I just want to recap then again. So baby tools are meet their needs, learn development. Toddlers, childproof, redirect. Preschoolers, time in, stay with your no, parent-guided problem solving. School-agers, model, active listen, I statements. Teenagers, problem solving. And remember the power of influence, because kids who want to talk to you, to want to have a relationship with you, are kids that are not punished. Punishment really impairs a relationship. It's a love relationship between parent and children, and there is no room for punishment in a love relationship. The best discipline tool ever, hugs. If you can't think of anything else to do, give a hug and start from a place of compassion and love, and then work on the problem. So just to recap, here is 3 and under, here's some tools, and 4 and over, it's more communication based. And remember, get yourself calm with time out, get your child calm with time in, and solve the problem with time together. And remember, your kids are best friends forever. It is wonderful. I thought the teen years were the best. Everybody that says, oh no, not the teen years, they're so scary, but they are absolutely best. You have these great conversations, and it's really nice to see the wonderful little people they grow into. Okay, so I'm just gonna close with a poem here called To My Child by Anonymous. Just for this morning, I'm going to smile when I see your face and laugh when I feel like crying. Just for this morning, I'll let you choose what you want to wear and smile and say how perfect it is. Just for this morning, I'm going to step over the laundry and pick you up and take you to the park. Just for this morning, I'll leave the dishes in the sink and let you teach me how to put that puzzle of yours together. Just for this afternoon, I'll unplug the telephone, keep the computer off, and sit with you in the backyard and blow bubbles. And just for this afternoon, I'll not yell once, not even a tiny grumble when you scream and whine for the ice cream truck, and I'll buy you one when he comes by. Just for this afternoon, I won't worry about what you're going to be when you grow up, or second guess every decision I made when you're concerned. And just for this afternoon, I will let you help me bake cookies, and I won't stand over you trying to fix them. And just for this afternoon, I'll take us to McDonald's and buy us both a Happy Meal so we both can have toys. Just for this evening, I'll hold you in my arms and tell you a story about how you were born and how much I love you. Just for this evening, I'll let you splash in the tub and not get angry. Just for this evening, I'll let you stay up late while we sit on the porch and count all the stars. Just for this evening, I'll snuggle beside you for hours and miss my favorite Netflix shows. And just for this evening, when I run my finger through your hair, I will simply be grateful that I've been given the greatest gift ever given. And just for tonight, when I kiss you goodnight, I'll hold you tighter and a little longer. All I ask is one more day with you. So thanks for joining me tonight. Just remember, it's hard. It's really hard when kids are little and you're sleep deprived and you have stresses and pressures. And when she's 2 and says up, up for the 20th time that day, pick her up again and cuddle her close. Because when she's 22, she'll pick you to go to Italy with her. Guaranteed. So again, thanks for coming. And if you have any questions that you want more private, feel free to email me. I'm at jarnall@shaw.ca. And if you want more in-depth information, feel free to pick up any of the books. And have a good parenting. And I'm going to turn the recording off and I'll take questions.